Hey guys, so today my performance is basically I'm going to be talking about my gender role as a female and how it's viewed in our society and how I also identify with being female. I'm also going to be discussing how I would feel about playing the opposite role and what kind of issues that I feel like I would run into playing the opposite role as male. Um, so I'm going to be discussing both of those. So in terms of my how I view being female in our society is I feel like females are kind of still seen as like the underlings and also seen as not very strong or superior as men, even in 2015, almost 2016. And I feel like women are also oftentimes criticized for the choices that men make as well, like having a family and then also having a career. Women are seen as mother figures and that they need to like stay home and they need to be supportive of their husbands and they need to just like kind of take the back seat with things. But how I also identify with my gender role is that I'm strong and I want to be seen as not just a female or not just a someone working or whatever. I want to be also seen as like a family woman as well, or what they say, like a family man. Like I want to be considered like a family woman as well. I want to have my career, but I also want to have my family and everything as well. So that's kind of how I see my gender group as well, is that females have a lot of things that they can accomplish, and they're the strongest. They're the strongest things. Like we are very, very strong. And in terms of how I would play the opposite role. So playing a male, I feel like I would be very strong and try to be independent and also very macho and confident. And that's kind of how I would play the opposite gender. Um, and I feel like the issues that I would run into with playing the opposite gender is fully like I would not even understand the first part of what goes in to being a male. And also, I feel like I have a different interpretation in my head of what men are supposed to be like, which is strong, confident, whatever. But oftentimes that's not the case. And men are also very emotional and all these things as well. So it would be very, very difficult for me to play the opposite role just because I don't know exactly what goes into being a male at all. So, I had two questions. Are there challenges for performers to play opposite gender roles because they do not identify with the role biologically? And does gender really play a significant part in how we view gender roles and performances? So, my first question is I do think that there are significant challenges for someone to play the opposite gender role because obviously they don't know everything that goes into it. Like there are so many, like it's so complex, gender specifically, that like playing the opposite role, like you have an interpretation what society gives to you of how someone should be, but oftentimes maybe that person's not that or that role doesn't play that. So I just think that biologically, like we don't understand fully what goes into being a male, or even like a male that's answering the same question would not know how women work. First of all, they just have like an interpretation of what they're like, but they really don't know exactly. So, the second question is, does gender really play a significant part in how we view gender roles in performances? Yes, because as a woman, I see men as being strong, as wanting to be, confident and independent and, wanting to be the breadwinner in their family. And that's just kind of how I see how genders are viewed in performances. Men are oftentimes very, very like strong, independent, and they're like the ones that have like the most attention in the performance. Whereas the woman has the attention as well, but they're seen as kind of like more frail and more innocent. And that's kind of just like how I interpret that part of it. And I feel like gender really does play a huge role in how we view genders and performances. So, yeah, thank you guys so much, and I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. Bye.